Pastor Bobby Howes.
And I'm Pastor Billy Howes, and welcome to the Praise Cafe. We're here this morning to really talk about the gospel IQs and how God has really gifted us over the years. And our brother and I, we're two of the original members of the IQs. And as we sit here, who would have thought we've been here after 55 years? We're still here.
Man, I tell you, it's been a journey, and it's been a great venture.
Yeah.
I tell you, we had an opportunity to travel all over the country and do great things, and I just thank God for that, man. And I tell you, we had some ups and downs, but you know, God's seen us through all of it. It was great.
Amen.
How many of them the Lord took out correctly? Out of the marry clay is out of the nobody but Jesus, he took my
The beauty is we didn't have to learn each other because we grew up together.
Oh yeah.
55 years ago when we started, some of the most memorable things I think in my life is remembering as a small young fellow when I started at 4 years of age, and how, can you remember our mom when she was in New York? We were living with her grandparents.
Right.
Our grandparents actually raised us, and the beauty is I was too small to get the same kind of suit you all got. And I can remember y'all, she bought a black suit, and I had to have a navy blue ones, and I didn't understand that. But you guys tricked me, because y'all said, well, you're the leader, you're supposed to have a different suit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I remember that.
Well, we had to do what we could do to make you comfortable, because like you said, you were so small, but you know, those was memorable times. But I think the greatest thing is how our grandfather would take us and carry us from church to church, and we would perform, and you know, he had a lot of impact on us being here today.
Yeah.
I think I have to credit him to everything, because he would always encourage us. Sometimes we would go and our tunes wouldn't be good, and people would laugh at us, and my grandfather said, y'all just keep on singing, because you always eventually get the last laugh. And I just thank God for what God has taken us over the years. And so, man, I tell you, it's been a great journey. I wouldn't take nothing for it.
Come on, I want to hear you today. Oh, yes, listen, Lord, I want to be ready, yes, whenever my time comes to die. Oh, jumping on the island, on the Lord's head. When he saw a vision of the judgment day, and oh, but God saw number that no man could name. He kept on praying in my Jesus, and that's why I wanna go in Jerusalem, do it like God, and I wanna talk in Jerusalem. Anybody wanna go? Do you wanna sing Jerusalem just like God did? I wanna walk in Jerusalem. I wanna do it like God. I wanna shout, shout, hallelujah. I wanna cry just like God. Oh, and I want to walk just like God.
You know, there's so much about music. I think music speaks an international language. And I thought as you go back to the time after we moved from being the Howes Brothers to the Gospel IQs, we tried to get a name. And everybody used to always ask what did the word gospel, what did the word IQ stand for, what the letter stand for. And our dream was to be an international quartet. So now we let some people in on a secret that they didn't know. That the name Gospel IQ stand for International Quartet.
That's right.
It's what we try to become,
That's
an
right.
international quartet.
That's right.
And God has blessed us because just a few years ago we found out that we had number 2 and number 3 records in England.
That's right. That's right.
I understand that our music has played some in Spain,
right.
throughout France. I didn't know that.
Right.
And it's coming from a little old town of Grover, where we don't even have a stoplight.
That's right. That's right.
That God is
Population 600.
600 people, and that's when you include the dogs and the cats. But God has really gifted us, and from that, little did we know, in the rearing of us with our grandfather being a minister, a pastor himself, that it would have that kind of influence upon us. That now, out of the 4 of us fellas, 3 of us are now pastors.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And
I think that's part of the nurturing through singing. Singing is a gift. The Bible says your gift will make way for you. So I think that opened up a lot of doors for us.
Correct.
Even in my ministry, simply because of the group, we had sung basically everywhere in the areas. And when I first went into the ministry, my first year into the ministry, I preached 102 sermons. 102 sermons. Everybody knew me, so everybody called on me, and they almost killed me. But but that was because I was known, and I think that has a lot to do with it. But that's one thing that a few other things I would like to talk about, and it's just like when we began to travel. We stayed right here for a while, and then all of a sudden we began to travel. And I remember our first venture to New York. When we went to New York and how we went up there and we performed, and all other people would come out to see us simply because we was the group from the South. And I thought that was something, because people would come see you. They didn't really know you, but they came to see you simply because you were from the South. And once we went there a couple of times, then we had to try to hold that image. Then we went on to Washington, D.C. We were at Constitutional Hall, and we just did some great places. But the most memorable place where time was when we sung for the Vice President of the United States. You remember that day? Oh man, that was a day. We had to be there early in the morning. They locked us into the place. We couldn't leave. We were there all day long, and I tell you, that was the greatest thing that ever happened to us.
I almost forgot that. I mean, the thing was, I was so spellbound of everything that was going on. My eyes were wide open. I'm like, I'm a young teen, and wow. I mean, just to come in and just to tell me what that meant. You're saying for the vice president's coming through. And wow, I thought that was something else, you know. And but then that was then, and I looked at so many other times. Now, while a lot of people look for the big stuff, it's the little stuff that I remember.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the little things that we would do, some of the singers that we used to do, and little churches like in Blacksburg, South Carolina. Like, seemed like every month we were there. But those people were waiting to hear us, and don't go to Gaffney, South Carolina.
Oh man, Gaffney was
You
a
got
town.
you got your
Gaffney
clothes
was a
torn
town.
off in Gaffney.
Gaffney was a town.
You thought we was-
Everything came out to see you in Gaffney.
Boy.
The dogs, the chickens, everything was there.
You thought it was absolute some celebrities in Gaffney.
Yes.
And even today, the fans in Gaffney are some of the most best, they are the
Loyal.
best fans that we know in gospel music. And that's a big shout out to Gaffney, because we
Oh,
just
yeah.
thank you so very much for being
Oh, yeah.
true to yourself and who you are. And many have tremendous talent in Gaffney as a result of all of the singing that has gone on over the time. And not just plugging that only, but whether it's the East Coast, up and down, from New York, Connecticut area, all the way down into the Florida area, it didn't make any difference. God has really gifted us. We've been blessed. But now, singing has taken really second seat to me because of ministry now, preaching. And even though I'm blessed, even though we sang with the group, I get an opportunity to sing professionally with some other group, the Swan Silvertones. I am been privileged to do a CD with them recently, and leading at least 5 songs on that CD. But they're not the gospel IQs in the process. That's been my life. But ministry, pastoring, and preaching now seems to be number one for me, to be able to minister now. And I've been blessed there. I guess longevity runs in our blood, because not only 55 years with you and me and Gene singing together, 50 years with the Gospel IQs, and I've been pastoring 33 years in this one place. And so that's longevity. So God has really gifted us, and hey, I'm married for nearly 40 years, so that's pretty good. Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that still inspires us is that people have an appetite for our style of singing, because our style is sort of unique. And I just had a gentleman that called me the other day, and he said, you know what, I finally figured out why you guys get the recognition that you get, because y'all style is so much different than most traditional gospel singers. We sing traditional gospel, but our style is different. Our style is just different. We have our own identity, and I think that's what makes us. That's what makes us really unique. And just a few months ago, we celebrated our 50th anniversary.
Absolutely.
50 years of singing gospel music, and people always ask the question, how did you stay together that long? Well, it was our love for music.
We didn't know nothing else.
Right. And we came up in the country. All we saw was chickens running across the yard, and so we didn't have all of the luxury that young people have today to get your attention somewhere else, and we just created all our own entertainment. We created our own entertainment. You know, me and my brother, we made our first guitars and stuff like that, and we started singing. And so, I mean, it's just a lot of history behind our group and why we stayed together. I think the saddest moment that's ever been with us, or the lowest moment, is that 4 days before our 50th anniversary, one of our original members passed away. And I want to give a shout out to that family, to the Roberts family, because the Roberts family was a part of our group when we became the Gospel IQs. There were 3 Howes brothers and 3 Roberts brothers in our group, and we thought that we were going to be one of the groups that had a 50th anniversary, and we still had all of the original singers. But the Lord seen fit to take him home 4 days before our 50th anniversary.
Just suddenly, with a massive heart attack.
Right.
I just look at how God has blessed us in transitions, because remember, even when we were smaller, people were always saying about us that we were ahead of our time.
Yeah, group before our time.
And some of the music that we did was people would look at, they would enjoy it, they didn't even know why they enjoyed it.
Right.
Because we took some future ideas and tried to translate them into a language that we could understand today. And even though we were young, you know, I did most of the songwriting, a lot of the songwriting, and but I'd write some songs. And the thing that we just found out, remember, just about 3 or 4 years ago, one of our songs was inducted to the North Carolina Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Peace in the Land.
That's right.
And wrote that song several years ago.
Right.
But it just now, over the last 4 or 5 years, it hit the market as one of the songs for the
Right.
for that achievement. And so, who knows? That's when I say, "Be true to yourself, do what you know to do."
Right.
Hey, God will bless you.
It's amazing to me. How God can speak. And I don't know where there will be a tree. It's amazing to me, yes. Oh, yes. How the Lord can walk on water. Speak a word when it's storming, and it'll do everything He's ordered. It's amazing to me, yes, I know it is. How the Lord can take a little bit of dirt and sand, hold it in His hand, and breathe in it, and He'll say, "There goes my man." It's amazing. Free.
think the success of the group is, as I said earlier, is your love for what you are doing. Some people do things out of obligation because they have been selected to do it, but we do it because we love to do it.
That's for sure.
And I think that's it. It's in our blood. It's in our bones. My father was a quartet singer. My grandfather, he was an instrumental player, and he sung as well. And so it sort of runs in our roots, this singing. Everywhere we go, even in preaching, you know, first thing they want you to do is sing. They want you to sing. You know, I'm in revival this weekend, and the lady told me last night, she said, I want to hear you sing. So you gave us a little example in the closing song, but we want to hear you sing. And so, but you know, that's just a part of our legacy. It's just singing, and I think one of the things that people has to realize that we'll probably do it until the day we die. Yeah. You know, as long as there's a Billy and a Bobby and a Gene, I think we will always have the gospel IQ. There's only 3 of the original fellas with the group now. The only 3 of the originals that when we started out, but we just thank God. The Lord has taken home about 3 of us, and but we just thank God for where we are now, because God has seen fit to let us continue to stay here. Right. And I think that's one of the greatest assets that we can really breathe on.
Knowing that we are faced with a changing time in the way people do music, the way that people see music, and yet we've been instrumental in being able to shift with the times.
Right.
We're getting older.
Oh yeah.
Can't move like we used to.
Oh yeah.
We used to come on stage and everything was energetic. We were dressed well, could
Right.
move strong.
Right.
And now the mind, the bones, we say move, and the bones say, "Don't you ask me?"
Right.
And so I think it's amazing. So how do you see us being able to still be vital in this time?
Well, I think that we just have to continue with who we are. When a person recognizes his identity, and when he knows who he is, he don't have to try to prove anything to no one. And I think that IQs, we have set a precedent all over this nation that we are the gospel IQs. And you never hear people really trying to duplicate us.
Right.
Because of our style of music. It's really hard, because sometimes it gets difficult for us.
Yes.
So can't anybody just duplicate us. People, they try to sing some of our songs. Well, you very seldom will hear one of our songs sung simply because we write our own music. A lot of people like to sing songs that they can identify, that other people can identify with by singing some other professional's song, but we basically do our own music.
Right.
So I think that's what makes us unique in everything that we do.
Right.
That's our uniqueness.
No doubt. I'm really grateful because it's people like the Praise Cafe, it's people like others who
Right.
have an appreciation for gospel music,
Right.
genres that allow it to stay alive. And I think it's tremendous even to be able to be on shows even as this, to talk about the continuing trends of gospel music. One thing about it, we're sitting in this room now, and even though with all the things that is being seen and exposed, there's a foundation underneath that keeps us building afloat. And I think the foundation of old gospel music has kept the foundation afloat. Things like us, when we started out, not really understanding everything. I'm only 4 years old, and I'm lead singing for this group
Right.
when I began. And see, I'm not that old. But at the same time, little did I know, the more I began to transition and see the importance of it. I just hope even the young people today who are in music will understand that music is not just, we talk about performance. I think we started out performing, but we went in what's called ministry. And saying has to become a ministry. It has to be able to speak not only to the psyche, but to the soul of the individual. As such, to know that it's something major. Right. And I'm concerned about some of the stuff that we sing, but then you don't judge to the point till you stop any kind of music, because music has a language that every person can understand, regardless of how it's given. In my church, we see rap because this is to serve this present age, as I call it, to the field. And that's one thing I'm so glad about with the IQs. We've been instrumental in being able to make the transitions to whatever, whether it's in the early 60s, whether it's in the 70s, in the 80s, 90s, and here we are over in the 2000s. And God has blessed us to still be afloat, still be alive, that we still can get some call. Okay? And so I'll be glad to have the opportunity to sit with you to talk about it.
Oh man, I tell you, it's amazing what God can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing what God can do when we see where He's brought us from. He took our feet out the miry clay.
Absolutely.
And so it is amazing.
It is. And
God
so,
bless you.
so
It's been
tune in and continue to look for good gospel music on the
Right.
Praise Cafe.
Do that.
Because
Thank
that's the
you.
thing.
God bless you.
Have a good day.